So hello, welcome back to MVN London, and today it's another episode of What's in the Bay. Today, importantly, we're finally applying the paint protection film to the DBX in time for a really incredible event which is taking place very soon, which in fact turns out that it'll probably be a world first. More on that in an upcoming video. Anyone who hasn't followed the journey of the DBX or is just tuning into this channel randomly for the first time, first of all, hello and welcome. Second of all, we're in NVN London. So this is a location, as the name would suggest, in London, near to Wembley, and we are a paint protection film and car care specialist. And today I've brought down this DBX, which is a project which I've been working on with Aston Martin for the past 18 months. I was honoured to be invited to have my hand in designing an exclusive model that was now for sale globally. This is our first car. And tomorrow we're taking it on a very special adventure, which we shall share with you soon. But the important thing is it's getting full body PPF, which means it's protected to go on the road. And now we're probably an hour away from it being complete before we can finally, and this is why it's such a massive day, effectively, finally today, I can take this car out on the road for the very first time. So what we're going to do, while the guys are applying this, we're going to take you for a walk as to what's in the shop today and run you through some of the more interesting cars and details which we're fortunate enough to have on site. Check it out. Okay, so we're going to show you what's inside the shop in a minute, but weirdly, we've got so many cars outside that have turned up unexpectedly today that we're going to show you outside and then take you inside. But before we do, this at first may seem like a sort of uniquely spec'd Aston Martin Vantage, which it is. However, if you dig deeper underneath the surface, this is really special. This is a 1 of 100 car that was commissioned by Aston Martin to celebrate the 25th James Bond film, which is the new currently on release, No Time to Die. But this is spec'd as the same Vantage from the Living Daylights. So that's where this theme is. Even the paint, this is the same color paint that they had on the Vantage in Living Daylights, which is cool. Now, as an option, you can even spec this car with skis. Now, this color theme down here is a nod to the black and yellow vibes that were on the original. That's a nice tip of the hat, but the real magic is on the inside of this thing. So the whole interior is spec'd with obsidian black leather, which is jet black but gorgeous and soft to the touch. But the nod to the original car is this fluting here. So all of this fluting that runs on the seats is a nod to the original film car. But if you were to look up, the fluting also continues on the roofline here and also towards the bulkhead and the baggage area. That's quite cool details. And then embroidered on the seats, we also have the incredible 007 logo. If you look at the paddle shifters, we've got the up paddle, which has the plus symbol here, has a targeting sort of scope engraved into it, and the same on the opposing side. So up and down switches have these targets on there, which sort of makes you feel like you're literally in control of a targeting system. Quite cool. But the real nod goes on in here. And check this out. We've got this laser engraved plaque here, which replicates the instrument cluster on the film car. All right, so the reason I'm showing you outside is because we've got to bring all of these cars in here shortly. And we've had all of these dropped off on our doorstep, including this gorgeous 812 GTS, which we'll show you in closer detail. But it's like we've just had this influx of cars. All of these just turned up. 2 Ferraris, 1 F8 Tributo, a 488 Spider, another Mini GP, which is quite amazing considering we've got one inside as well, DB11, and this 812 GTS, which I'm particularly interested in. Oh, look at the spec. Do you know what? I'm gonna get the keys. Okay, this is too cool to not show you inside. Oh, I really wasn't joking, look. White on blue, navy contrast leather. What a spec, and I love, so you've got these sort of extra options. So options like these would go through what Ferrari call the atelier, which is where you would go and spec options which aren't on the normal options list. So this white trim here matches with the white striping on the outside of this carbon fiber sill, which obviously ties in really well with the stripe on the car. what a thing. And I reckon if we lift up the bonnet, we should be able to show you what the paint is called. Look at that. And just look for a moment. Even though this is classed as a front-engined car, they are classed as front mid-engined because you can see how far back the engine is. If you look at the full length of the nose and bonnet on this, the engine is actually underneath the dashboard and goes out to halfway through that bonnet line there. So it truly is a front mid-engined. It's basically very similar placed to how they put it when they throw it out back, only up front, and as such they have such an amazing weight distribution for the kind of car it is. Now the color, blue Tour de France, very cool, stunning, absolutely gorgeous. All right, so there's a few toys outside. Speaking of toys, something that we haven't shown before, and I think this is a good day for it because there's so many varied cars in here, is our Key Safe. Come and check this out. Okay, so one day I dream of a key box that looks like this. Imagine this, right? So I'm just going to put the 812 back. So in the past we have split them and allocated them by country of mark. So you can see at the top is the Italian shelf, where we particularly have, as you can see by the sea of red, we look at all the Ferrari keys we've got. Every now and again I'll glance and spot an Audi key and be like, what's that doing there? But it is in fact, of course, a Lamborghini key because they're effectively the same these days, aren't they? The British mark here, these are the keys. This is what the keys looks like to an XJ220. Look at that. They really don't make those like they used to. Hey, that's quite nice. That Aston key all blacked out on this one. Ford GT. That's a brand new set of Ford GT keys there. So that car will have come directly to us from the manufacturer. They don't normally come like that. Look at this. That's a key. Huayra Roadster. At the client's request, we can't actually show you that car, which is a real shame. Maybe one day, but it's, look at that, anodized black with contrasting titanium screws. Yeah, special thing. This was the Ferrari key for a long, long time. So if you had a 430, an F430, the key would be like that. And that went all the way up to 458 Speciale and even F12 TDF. And then it evolved to this key. So all of this style key here is the latest generation of Ferrari. Call me old school. I do like having a key. Not just because the key's good, but you need somewhere to put these things, don't you? You get in the car, you want to put them in something to hold them. Never mind turn it on, but anyway, so that's how it is. More Lambo keys there. There we go. That's pretty cool. Black on black on black on black on black. Turbo S. So interestingly, and I did wonder, when you were pulling this off, I thought, will there be drill holes in the front of this thing? But sure enough, they've developed this sort of bracket system, haven't they? Which seems to latch behind the veins of the grille and sort of crimp on. So as you tighten it up, it brings it in, and then this piece here just rests against the bumper, so they don't actually have to drill in. So no, that's the first time I've seen that.
It's the first time as well. Majority of the manufacturers will actually drill into your bumper, and you know, until you actually take the bracket off, you'll find you've got a couple of nice holes.
Nice holes for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Great. Well, that's cool. Because I did wonder. I thought you were going to pull that off, and I was going to go, oh, holes in the front there. But
I'm actually impressed.
That is cool, isn't it? Yeah. Latches on, and then just as you screw it, it just hooks in.
Yeah.
Awesome touch. So we actually treat these pieces of glass, Alpha, would I be right in saying this, like a vertical table?
Yes, correct.
Right? So instead of having how the PPF comes off is on a roll, isn't it?
Correct. It comes off.
So instead of peeling it off a roll and then trying to work out which piece is which, it gets laid out like that, but on there. So the guys know which bits they've done. So that there is the jigsaw puzzle for the DBX, right?
It just shows you how complicated the front end is.
That's just the front end.
That's just the front end.
That is wild. I mean, I think that's probably quite a good display of how much work goes into a car.
Yeah.
I think, one of the most complicated cars to PPF is the Senna.
Correct.
I think it was over 140 individual panels.
That's correct.
Okay, we have some serious paint jobs in here, as I'm sure you can imagine, but often some of the most magical is Rolls-Royce. Now from afar, this looks like a black Rolls-Royce Dawn black badge, and that's what it is. However, come and check this out. We have just detailed this. So if I turn the torch on this, here we go. It is like looking into a constellation of stars. The paint is just phenomenal. The fleck is outstanding. Look at that. And honestly, of all of the cars that we've had in here, Rolls-Royce, some of their special paints are just stunning. A lot of the external hardware, which would otherwise be chrome, has been anodized as a smoked chrome. So the actual Spirit of Ecstasy itself is smoked chrome, and it's all anodized, and I cannot tell you how delicate this stuff is. So if there's anything that you wanted to protect, it would be the front end on your black badge, because if you ruin or scratch an anodized surface, it's game over. You have to start again. Now, one thing I always find unique on Rolls-Royce is that the sweeping coach lines down the side of them, we all know they're hand painted, but I find it's fascinating that they sit on the surface of the clear coat. Most pinstriping and lines or exterior paintwork typically goes on and then it's clear coated over, but on Rolls-Royce you can physically feel it. And these lines are done by just a couple of very skilled people that work at the Rolls-Royce factory, and to witness them do it, it's not until you've seen it that when I say it's done by hand, it's amazing to watch a human take a line down a car like this and literally do it in a sweeping motion. And this little, how it tapers off there, that is also by hand. It's incredible. And I know this is hard to convey on camera, but it sits on top of the paintwork. So it really is a final finishing touch on the outside of the car. But as such, paint protecting this area is quite hard. You either go over it and you'll have a subtle ridge in the PPF, or you leave it exposed. Up to the client, I guess. Oh, the interior on this Lusso is amazing. Honestly, this is one of the best spec'd Lussos I've seen. Look at the interior. I think the colour's Grigio Silverstone. I'm going to have to lift up the bonnet to confirm that, so let's just do that real quickly. But the interior, I think this is called Cuio leather, which is like chestnut, but it has gorgeous contrasting Alcantara Daytona inserts. Just beautiful. I'm not sure if the camera can pick this up. The panoramic roof in this thing is so huge. If you point the camera in there and up slightly, the roof in there is massive. And what that does when you're outside, it allows so much light to cascade on the inside of the car that it just opens up the whole interior. This is, I promise you, I haven't looked at this yet. So this is and I'll be transparent either way if I have it wrong, but where are we? Yes, Grigio, Silverstone and Cuio. That is what that is. I think, what a machine. That is how I would spec this thing. Got some incredible options on it as well. These plaques here on newer Ferraris, and I say newer, I think basically Ferraris from around about 2015 onwards would have had these plaques that appear in the back of the car. And this gives a full breakdown of the specification of this specific car. So if you were to, I don't know, lose the spec sheet, or when you come to sell the car on again, the dealership has this QR code to hand, and they're able to scan that and it will bring up the full story and full history of the car. I think this is quite a poignant time to start talking about this car actually, because Ferrari did announce that they will be discontinuing this car, which is a real shame. So in 2022 there will be a Ferrari SUV. I have no idea what that'll be like, but the real USP of this car, you can think of it as a four-seater F12 or almost a four-seater 812 Superfast in a way. I mean, it has rear wheel steer, it's got that twin clutch box connected to the 6.2 litre NA V12, it's 680 horsepower, four-wheel drive. Yeah, and I don't know if Ferrari will ever make anything like it again, and even if they do, the chances of it having an NA V12 in it are super unlikely. So I think there's something to celebrate. I mean, it's a really unique proposition, this. It's not entirely practical like an RS6 because it doesn't have any back doors, but it does have back seats. But to daily, a four-wheel drive Ferrari V12, it's a very special thing, this. Right, check this out, which reminds me, we really must get the Turbo S back on the channel real soon. It's brilliant to see another Turbo S in here. What's unique about this is that it actually has the optional aero pack on it. So you might be able to see these These flicks here, that is an optional extra, as are this section at the back, these sort of winglets that curve up and elongate around the rear wing. Now interior, at a glance, obviously because the car's black, kind of looks black, but actually it's grey. This is beautiful. This is what I really like about spending time around cars. It's not until you really get up close to them and open them up that you see these subtle details. I've got to say, this grey on black is absolutely stunning. Not a spec I'd have thought of, but it works. Works really, really well. Okay, one installation that we have done on this, and you definitely can't see it, and that's the whole point, is we've applied a protective film on the windscreen called Clearplex, and it does the same job as the paint protection film on the body, but specifically designed for the window to stop stone chips, split windscreens, etc. But it has a more transparent quality. There are some pretty strict rules about what you can and can't apply to a windscreen. This substance is good to go, and it also could save your windscreen from cracks. So yeah, on a spec like this, very sensible option. Right, come and check this out. This is some of the more obscure stuff that happens here on a day-to-day. So Afa, am I right in thinking you've just unloaded all this stuff out of the back of the 300 SL?
Yeah, we've basically, we're detailing this SL, bringing some life back into it, and at some point he's had damp issues.
A lot of damp issues.
As we were taking, you know, his stuff out of the back,
yeah,
you've got all the documentation going back to 1986.
I reckon this tennis racket goes back to 1986.
Yeah. So
look at this. Anyone into tennis? When was the last time they made a Wilson Ultra tapered beam? I reckon this would do well for a restore. Mate, they feel brittle. I'm not joking you.
It's most probably sat there since 86.
Feel that. It's rocket. There's no flex.
Oh my
There's no
God.
flex.
Oh,
That's
wow.
actually gone brittle. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So this is his service booklet.
So even the original service book, I mean, going back to 1986.
Wow.
This was all moist and it was all wet. You can see from the ink starting to.
Yeah, starting to go.
So we've,
What a great book though, huh?
We've just taken it out and we've carefully separated everything for it to dry.
Yeah.
And once we've finished detailing and restoring the SL, we'll put it all back neatly. You know, a lot of history.
I always find these sorts of things fascinating. Like, they tell a lot of stories. This is the original med pack. Look
Yes,
at that.
original first aid kit.
80s first aid kit here.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine any paracetamol left in here is not good for you anymore. Look, it's still in its original packaging. Yeah. Wow, look at that. You don't get packs like this anymore, do you? Look at this. That's actually open. I won't take any out because it's kind of cool. When was the last time a car came with a pair of scissors? You know? Mercedes-Benz Spanner 300 SL.
Yeah.
Look at that. That needs a bit of love.
That does need
Is there
a bit of
anything
love.
we can do about this?
We can get that back to a decent condition, yeah.
Brilliant. Right then, we're in front of somewhat of an unsuspecting car in this world of detailing because we normally are associated with supercars, hypercars, etc. However, you'd be amazed at how many of the more daily conventional cars we get through. But this one, this Peugeot 108 four-door convertible, no less, has a really cool story to it because the owner is planning on hitting up as many of the European F1 races as he can.
That's correct.
Towing the car behind his Winnebago.
Yep.
And so he brought it into us to more specifically have the front end protected because if you're towing it behind an RV, it's going to get battered. So the front end of it's going to be protected. So when he lands at the Monaco Grand Prix and he wants to, you know, drive around, it'll still look good.
And the glass is going to be clearplexed as well, protected as well.
Perfect. Brilliant stuff. So this is all about front end protection. However, Afa's taken it to the next step. So tell us what you're doing on the canvas roof.
So basically the customers requested for his fabric to be protected. It's more like a fabric coating.
A specific fabric coating.
So it doesn't harden like a ceramic coating would harden.
Okay.
So what it basically does is it forms a bond to the actual fabric, but you wouldn't notice that there's anything
the flexibility
on
of the fabric
yes,
still there.
Absolutely, and it just makes it waterproof. Slowly start spraying, and especially this simple.
Okay.
And then you need multiple coatings on there. And once you have applied, you're going to see this frost.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you need to do, you need to even it out with your hand.
No way.
Yeah. So
I had it in my head you were going to do it with like a brush or something.
No, you just kind of even it out.
In Blue Peter style, do you have a here's one we protected earlier panel?
Yeah.
Because I want to see.
Yes,
because it's all about the end result of this stuff.
Yeah,
Go on.
certainly.
Drop this on here. They are honestly like ball bearings.
Yeah.
That's so satisfying, mate.
And you should be able to just...
That's so cool.
So it just
cool.
shows you the easiness of actually washing, you know.
And so say you park this under a tree, I don't know, you're in the south of France, you park it under a pine tree, you got an overly active bird up there and some tree sap, it's going to help you bring it right off.
Yeah, absolutely. You should be able to just jet wash it off.